name is Tim Burton. I'm with the Burton Company here in Cincinnati, and we are here to cast a 500-pound bell for Episcopal Church of the Resurrection in Longwood, Florida. I want to thank Father Paul McQueen and his congregation for trusting the Burton Company into casting their future bell. So the guys behind me, I think, are just about ready to get started. They have been heating the metal over the past 4 or 5 hours. The temperature of the metal now is probably about 2100 degrees. The two molds that you see in front of you, got the square one on the left and the round one on the right. The bell for Longwood, Florida is going to be the round flask on the right. The other bell that we're going to be pouring today is a slightly larger bell. So they began to take the molten bronze out of the furnace. You can see how they're tipping the furnace over and pouring the metal into the ladle. If you look directly above the ladle, you can see a digital readout, and that digital readout is counting up, and that's basically the pounds of metal that is going into the ladle. So part of what we've got to be careful of is when we start a pour into the bell mold, you can't stop. It's got to be a continuous pour. If the metal were to stop running into the mold, then basically you have to start the casting over again. You ruin the bell mold. So the idea is to know exactly how much metal we have inside the furnace, or I'm sorry, inside the ladle, before we ever start pouring. So it looks like they're going to pour, first they're going to pour a small bell. They're casting a small 10-inch diameter bell. It's a memorial bell for another customer. What they're doing right now is taking the temperature. So we know the metal coming out of the furnace was, 2,000 degrees or 2,100 degrees, but it's really important what we actually pour the metal into the molds at, and we want that metal to be closer to 1,800 degrees. The metal loses heat very rapidly once we take it out of the furnace, and so we've got to be careful that once we remove the metal from the furnace, we have to get it in the molds pretty quickly, because the metal could actually solidify in the ladle and become solid again. So what Ralph's doing is just scooping out any contaminants that might be floating in the surface of the metal. We don't want those contaminants to run into the mold. The good part about bronze is molten bronze is so dense that if there is any material or dirt or anything in the metal, then it floats. It actually floats on the surface. So they started the pour of the small bell. And it looks like it's full. So they'll take the temperature again of the metal just to make sure. Again, we don't want the metal to be too hot because it burns the mold up. We don't want it to be too cold because then it won't run correctly. It could actually freeze off as we're doing the pour. So they continually monitor the temperature of the metal. So it looks like the metal's just a little too hot right now, but it'll cool very rapidly inside the ladle. So we'll wait just a minute for that metal to cool off just slightly. And then we can pour the bell for Episcopal Church of the Resurrection in Longwood, Florida. So the finished weight of the bell is going to be about 500 pounds. It'll be about 29 inches in diameter at the mouth of the bell. So the largest diameter of the bell will be about 29 inches, and the bell will ring a C sharp. The bell will hang in a stationary configuration in the church, the new church tower, and will be rung using a digital bell controller and an internal striker inside the bell. So the material that Ralph has taken off the surface of the metal is it's kind of a never-ending battle when metal is in the molten state, where it meets the atmosphere, where it meets the air. It wants to continue to form a crust on top of it. And as soon as you scoop that crust out of there, it immediately starts forming the crust again. It's kind of the nature of molten metal. So the longer it sits in the molten state, the more that dross, or the more that crust will continue to form on the surface of the metal. So Ralph would just keep kind of battling that as we wait on the metal to cool down. Okay, I think we're ready to pour. So as he continues to fill the bell mold, what we'll be watching for is we'll start to see some smoke coming out of the back of the mold. What that smoke is it's essentially gases that are cooking out of the sand. So the sand mold is made from sand in a resin binder, and as that metal touches the surface of that sand mold, it burns those resins out, and those resins burn out in a form of a gas. So the hole at the back of the mold, where all that smoke is coming from, is those gases escaping from the mold. So as he continues to fill it, yep, we saw just a little bit of metal come out of that back hole, which is a telltale sign that the mold is full. So it looks like we've had a successful casting of the 500-pound bell for Longwood, Florida.